All right, we're officially live. Hi, Robin.
Hello.
How are you today?
Great.
Good, good. So, this is our second webinar, and this one is specifically pertaining to online marketing. Let's see, what do we have here? Getting website leads was the topic of this webinar. And currently, we still only have, we have 0 viewers, but I did have a whole bunch of people who told me that they would be joining today, including one specifically, Joe Mavis, who was just referred to me yesterday. He said that he would be attending the webinar today. Let's see here. So the format of today, if there's anybody that's watching, the format, there is the ability to ask questions on this side of the screen. If you're signed in with your Google account, near the bottom, there'll be something that says ask a question. And then at the top, you'll be able to see which questions we're answering. So if you're signed in with your Google account, you'll be able to do that. Now, if you're watching this through YouTube Live or by any other means, you can always shoot me an email, paul@awesomedynamic.com, and put in the subject line webinar. And if you send that through with your question, I'll be able to also answer that on the webinar as well. Robin, did you have any updates in the world of SEO that you'd like to talk about?
I think we can definitely focus on if you want to convert to your website making more money for you, or your other goals of getting more customers, or getting more social media accounts. Whatever your goal is, I definitely wanted to focus on going into more detail about responsive design, since that's the big topic right now, and just the basics is getting your content up to date. So
Okay, all right. So quite a few things we could talk about. And Robin, just so you know, if we right now I'm still seeing 0. Oh, we do have 1 viewer. So welcome.
I
So
see two.
you see 2? Okay, good, good. So and those of you that are viewing again, and I'm going to continue to repeat this, Robin, just so you know. What we want you to do is on this side of your screen, or on the right side of your screen, you'll have the ability to post questions that we will be able to see. So if you use that, you can only do that if you're signed in through Google. But if you post those questions, we'll be able to see them. Oh, it looks like Joe Mavis said that he just arrived. He needed to refresh the stream. And then we also have Shelly, who posted a question. So good. I'm glad to see you guys here. So thank you so much for joining us. So just recapping what Robin said, she has a few things that she'd like to talk about, but let's take a look at what Shelly had sent. She said, Paul, so I'll select this question so you'll be able to see it up on the upper right. It says, Paul, just to let you know, I figured out how to delete the extra Google Plus page. That's why she did not email me. So she was actually in attendance at our review party yesterday at Lee Donuts, and we had seen that there were a few extra Google Plus pages. She had 2 brand pages and 1 local page that Jessica helped her create. So I asked her to shoot me an email, and that we'd be able to take care of getting rid of the extra brand pages for her on this webinar today. So we're done with that question. I'm gonna hit done, and then I'm gonna show Joe's question. He said, just arrived. I need to refresh the stream, so that's what I was just saying there. So both of you seem to be able to use that question section on the right. So please post any specific questions that you have, and we'll certainly explore those.
And just pertaining to Joe's comment, where can they catch the replay or recording?
The replay, we will post it on our YouTube channel. So if you go to awesomedynamic.com, if you scroll all the way down to the bottom, you'll see a YouTube link down there, and then that'll bring you to our YouTube channel. We'll also be posting recent videos on our homepage on awesomedynamic.com, as well as upcoming webinars. Right now, we only have 1 more upcoming webinar scheduled, but we're going to get webinars scheduled throughout the remainder of the summer within the next week or so. So there'll be plenty more like this for quite some time. So until we get a specific question, Robin, I'd like to jump right into some of the different things that you had just mentioned, specifically responsive design. So when we're talking about having a website that's mobile friendly, there's a few ways to go about creating a mobile friendly website. And one way is to create what's called a mobile website and that's separate from your regular website. And then the second way is to have what's called a responsive website, which is the same type of website, except it kind of shifts, changes, transforms, adapts to the viewport of the device you're looking for. So whether or not that's your normal computer screen or it's something like a smartphone, the responsive website will actually adapt. It can be, in many cases, a little bit more expensive to go the way of responsive design. However, it's exactly the same website that just appears differently depending on what device it's looking at. Whereas when you go down the road of a mobile site, it can certainly then you're having to manage your content in two different places. And there are some solutions out there that do allow for synchronization between the mobile site and the desktop site, but usually if you want it to look a certain way, it's not very good in our experience. Robin, I want you to talk about why it's so important to have mobile presence for your website these days, pertaining to Mobilegeddon, which happened on
April 21st,
right?
Mm-hmm.
Right. Okay. So I'm going to show you, Robin. So you're up.
All right. So on April 21st, Google announced this Mobile Armageddon. And basically what that is, and you can see all of this on our blog as well at awesomedynamic.com. We have a blog that tells you all the updates you need in SEO. And what Mobile Armageddon is if you are not up to date on your website on a mobile site, you are going to get penalized on the mobile part of your website. Just so you know, when you type something into Google, you can either type it in on your desktop or you can type it in on a mobile device. And a mobile device would be your tablet or your phone. So you get actually different results based on what you search on and where you search from. So you're probably wondering, well, I've searched for my business on, 2 different times and I'm getting different results. Why is that? Well, Google updates their algorithm twice a day. So that could be one reason. And another reason would be like your search location. And then especially if you're on Wi-Fi or not connected to Wi-Fi. And then the third reason would be what kind of device are you using. And for responsive design, why it's so important is because, as Paul mentioned, it actually costs you extra time and possibly extra money if you're not doing it yourself. If you have to, let's say you update your blog and you update it on your website, now you have to go back and you have to update it on the mobile site and for tablets and for every different kind of phone device out there. If you have a responsive site, and then you can actually do an update on one place and it'll update across all devices. So it's very, very effective for any updates on your website, especially if you have a company like a restaurant, you update the menu a lot, or if you want to put extra content or pictures on your blog. Anytime you have extra content you want to change, even small changes can make a huge difference when you're looking at desktop versus mobile.
And Robin, just so you know, I'm presenting to everyone the blog article that we have back from April 7th. It was right before Mobile Armageddon, that talked about specifically the upcoming mobile apocalypse. Of course, it wasn't a giant disaster and no one's website exploded. But looking at our site here, the Awesome Dynamic website, you'll see that if I take this thing and shrink it down to the size of the phone, it actually responds and takes everything and puts it and stacks it in a vertical format. So that's,
and if you click the menu up there on the 3 bars, and then it will actually show the menu in a much different way than if it's the full expanded version.
Right. So essentially just responds to the size of the screen, which is what you want. It's the exact same website, except stacked in a vertical format for the phone, tablet, etc.
It makes it a lot easier for people searching for you on a mobile device to actually convert them into customers, because many times there's sites out there where it looks great on a desktop, but then when your customers are actually searching for you, you might lose them if the page doesn't load very quickly, even if it takes 2 seconds to load, which seems like a short time, but you just click on to the next result. So they might bypass you that way. It's just better for the overall user experience. And I'm also predicting probably around 6 months is what the SEO community is saying to get these mobile sites up and ready. So from April 21st. So you have, the rest of the summer and into the fall, and I would say you definitely have to get started on converting your website to that. And one thing you can look for is if you have Google Analytics. If you don't have Google Analytics for your website, I would definitely sign up for that. That just shows you how many people are coming to your website. It tracks it over time, and it shows you specifically how many of your customers are visiting you on a desktop, how many visiting from a mobile, how many visiting from a tablet, and then it breaks it down even further to which types of devices. So that's definitely great information. If you see that you have 70% of your viewers are viewing you from a mobile device, then you definitely want to get started on that sooner than later. And
Robin, I wanted to let you know I was able to pull up Joe. Joe is one of the attendees right now, and I was able to pull up his question. He said to me 1:45 yesterday afternoon, sent me an email. He said he was speaking with Elizabeth Hubbard, which is actually a lady that's in our networking group that I spoke to a few times. She had referred that he reach out to us. He said I'm currently trying to get my business verified with Google at our new address, and she suggested that you might be able to expedite this process. Have I reached the right person? Can you lend some assistance with this task? So his, I was going to pull up on the screen here, and I'll go ahead and switch over to my screen. Present to everyone. This is Joe's website, and we're going to see Cutting Edge Connect. So I'm going to just do a quick Google search to see if we see his website come up here, but I'm not seeing his Google listing. One thing we can do, and we're partners with Google with this whole, it's called GYBO, or Get Your Business Online. You actually go to gybo.com, click on Check My Business, and this will tell you a little bit about what they have in their system pertaining to your business. So they say search by business name and city. So I'm going to put Cutting Edge Connect, and let's see where you're located, Joe, unless you're able to comment with a question on that. Let's see. Well, it says Gurnee, Illinois on this, so we're going to put in Cutting Edge Connect, Gurnee, Illinois, and Google says your business is not on the map. So the way you get that going is to click on Get Started, and you'll see that it brings you right to this area, which is part of Google My Business, and then you'd say Add Your Business here, and then you'd begin filling this out. And I'm not going to do it now because it'll put it under my Google account, which we don't want. We want it to be under yours. So your first step would be to go to gybo.com. Then you'll click on Check My Business. And then once you're in here, put in your business name and city. It'll tell you it's not there. And then at that point, you follow the steps that you just saw on the screen. Once you get to the point where it's asking for the verification, Joe, you can email us and we can get the verification instantly verified through our contacts at Google. Normally, you'd have to wait, what, Robin, is it usually 2 or 3 weeks to get that postcard? And sometimes it never shows up?
yeah, sometimes I'll have to send it twice.
Right. So that can be a very frustrating process. But if you get yourself set up through there and then let us know when you've completed it, then I can actually send you a link to a special page that we have set up through our Google partnership that you're able to expedite and complete the verification process very quickly. They call it instant verification, but it can be about a day. But that's way better than the 2 to 3 weeks that we normally see with the postcard verification. So I hope I answered your question with that, Joe. If you have any additional questions, please post them. I just seeing now that Joe has, I'm going to put this up on the screen. Joe has indicated that his current location is in Libertyville, Illinois. So I'm going to go ahead and do the same search here on the GYBO. So let me go back. I'm still presenting that screen. So I'm going to put in your business name and then Libertyville, Illinois. And we're still not seeing it come up. I'm going to hit enter. Your business is not on the map. So we're going to come in here and then you're going to, click this, none of these, because this doesn't match your business, and then go ahead and start setting it up. So, Joe, if you email me your Google username and password, I'll do this for you right as we're doing this webinar. So don't send that through the questions. Just email paul@awesomedynamic.com. And then if I'm not watching my email when you send it through, go ahead and post in the questions area, I sent you the password, and then I'll go ahead and do that. But while we're waiting for you to do that, if that's something you'd like us to do, I'm going to continue our discussion with Robin about the importance of mobile website and mobile design. Robin, did you want to pick up where you left off?
Well, that's a pretty good overview of responsive design. It's just a matter of, getting it going, because it can, I would start now because it can take a good amount of time to go through the process. Probably, you could get it done if you're going to use the due to mobile route or any kind of secondary, mobile site that's not responsive. You could probably get it done, within a month's time. But responsive design does take a little bit longer. I would predict probably a few months. Did you say that, Paul?
Depending on what web development company you're working with. So there are some folks that can get all that done right away. If you're starting with the new website, the challenge is usually just getting all the content, meaning the text and pictures together. So from a web developer perspective, getting all the text and pictures that you might, that the web developer needs, usually is what we're always waiting for when we work with somebody to put a website together. So having your plan together with your new website and knowing what's going to go on all the pages and all the pictures usually makes that process of getting the website up and running much more smooth.
And then the last thing I wanted to show you, besides testing from your site and just closing or making the window smaller and bigger, Google will actually tell you if your website has passed its test.
You sent me that link, Robin. I'm going to put that up on the screen while you're talking, all right?
Sure. So it's called the mobile friendly test, and Google will just tell you if your website is good or if your website is not good. And it'll tell you what to fix specifically. So it's very transparent. There's no secrets. It's just, it'll tell you exactly what you need. So let's go ahead and test one.
We're going to test Joe's site since I know what it is, and we just had it up on the screen. So I'm going to put in Joe's URL here. Let me see if it asks for a specific format. It doesn't. So I'm just going to paste it in as I copied it from the address bar when I was visiting his site. And I'm going to put this into the mobile friendly test. You can see at the top here, the link that Robin sent me is google.com/webmaster/tools/mobile friendly.
And if you can't remember all that, you can just Google mobile friendly test.
All right. Come up. So Robin, give us the breakdown, the analysis on this.
Okay, so your bar right there, it's red. If you did pass, it would say green, and it would have a check mark. So it's things that are pretty typical of a desktop site. For example, the text is too small to read. On a desktop, I'm sure it looks perfectly fine, but then on a mobile device, if people have to keep zooming in and scroll up and down, left and right to read your content, they're going to go to another site. So you can actually change your content on your mobile site to be as stripped down as possible. So if you have tons of text and tons of content on your site, you can actually take that and make it, you have two options. You can make it less content, and so it's really, really simple on the mobile site. Or on the other side, you can take the same exact content. It'll just be longer to scroll on the phone so that you don't lose any content. I've seen it effective both ways because Google does, well, we're getting into content now, but Google does recommend about 300 to 600 words per page of your product or your service pages. And you can see that that would probably be a lot for a mobile device to read all that. And you have to think of the most important thing about the mobile, converting to mobile, is you have to think how your customers specifically are using the phone. For example, if you have a physical location, they're most likely using the phone to find you to get there, as in, maybe you want to put driving directions as the first thing that they see on the menu there. But on the desktop, you don't need that as the first thing. So you can really customize your mobile site to the intent and the purpose of what your customers are looking for when they're on your site. So in order to do that, you have to know your customers very well. And that's not something that a web developer can answer for you. It's really something that you have to ask yourself and request of the developer.
Let me see here, Robin. I'm working on trying to find out the Shelly's website, Snarfy Foods.
It's snarffoods.com. She wrote in the question.
Oh, you have it there? Hold on. That's right. I see. I'm glad you said that. Good. Test new. Good. Thank you, Shelly. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. I was looking at answered questions, so please forgive me. I need to have a better process here. So snarffoods.com. We're testing it now. Awesome. Awesome dynamic is what it should say there. This page is mobile friendly, and this is how Googlebot sees the page. So you do have, Shelly, a nicely formatted mobile site. So here, I think I can pull up some applause here.
It also depends on who you chose to do your website. It looks like you have Shopify. Websites like Shopify or Square, they automatically have the mobile friendly element built in. So if you're doing a custom website, maybe by like WordPress or another really highly customized website, you may not have the mobile built in.
Robin, since we're looking at these different tools from Google, I wanted to look at the PageSpeed Insights because we can take a look at both these websites through that particular tool. And I'm sure there's a long URL to get to it, but if you just Google PageSpeed Insights, this is another tool that Google has that you can put something through. So we'll test the Cutting Edge Connect website first, and then we'll do Snarfy Foods next. So this gives you another, it tells you about your mobile speed. This is all about speed. So Google can actually penalize you or will penalize you based on how fast your website loads. So taking a look at the Cutting Edge Connect website, right now we're seeing that you get a 66 out of 100 on the speed, and it actually gives you a whole bunch of technical information on how to fix different things. So leverage browser caching, that just means make the server for your hosting account cache all the pictures and text, so this way it doesn't have to load on everybody's computer every time someone goes there. Enable compression, so it's probably going to identify some different images or JavaScript, which is a technical term for code in the back end, that could be compressed, which would load the site faster. Here we have eliminate render blocking JavaScript and CSS and above the fold content, which essentially means it looks like you're using Typekit to have specialized fonts on your website. And it looks like you have some other
something
items.
as little as changing the font could rank you higher on Google.
Right. So if you use just a normal web font like Arial or Times New Roman or Helvetica, that could make your website load faster. But you know, this Typekit is an Adobe product that allows you to get fancy with your fonts, but that fanciness, if it's loaded at the top of the site in the code, can cause the site to slow down. So what Google's trying to say here is load that at the bottom so the site loads and looks good right away, and then load the thing that makes the font change to whatever you want later on. So that's what they're trying to say with that. Down here, it shows some other tips. A lot of this stuff is very technical. Coming down here, past the rules, you avoided landing page redirects, your images are well optimized, and prioritize the visible content. I'll take a look at mobile here. It's some of the same information we saw in the mobile friendly test, but it also has some other things that are similar to what we saw on the desktop site. Let's go ahead and do this.
Some of the major things for fixing your website, it's usually text, the text size, and then the pictures not showing up or broken links. It's like usually it's stuff that's very easy to fix. You can also check this in, besides PageSpeed Insights, we can also check in Webmaster Tools.
That's right, and then they give you a whole. They'll in Webmaster Tools. Sometimes you'll get clues as to why you might be penalized in the Webmaster Tools. Taking a look at Snarf Foods, we can see here that even though your site passed the mobile friendly test, it is mobile friendly, they're still indicating that there's some images that could be optimized, which would drastically reduce the amount of time that it would take to load the website. They're talking about, again, this render blocking CSS. It looks like you're using Shopify, which Robin had mentioned. So this menu that's at the top probably uses JavaScript. If they took the code and put it at the bottom, that wouldn't mean your menu would be at the bottom, but the code would be at the bottom, which would cause the site to load much faster. So that's something you can actually go to Shopify and say, look, I'm getting this render blocking CSS in above the fold content, and say, put the JavaScript and CSS at the bottom so my site loads faster. And I don't know if they'll do that for you, but it's something you can certainly pursue. This picture I wanted to specifically address. You can see here it says that there's a slideshow image, and that this slideshow image is 379 kilobytes, which actually is quite large for an image. I'm going to take a look at this picture. So see how large this picture is on my screen? It's saying, basically what they're saying is, if you had loaded that picture in at this size instead of this size, it would load much faster. So that's one thing where you can use a program like webresizer.com. I'm going to download your picture here, Shelly, and save it to my desktop. Save. And in WebResizer, I'm going to go to Resize Photos. I'm going to choose a file. I'm going to find that file on my desktop. I'm going to upload this image. And it says that this image is currently 393 kilobytes. I want to reduce this drastically, and I'm going to make it 400 by 300 here. And that has automatically been applied, but I can adjust all sorts of settings here. This might be a good thing for another webinar. But essentially, I'm going to download this image. I'm going to show you how big it is after the fact.
And rename it.
Yes. Good point, Robin. Let's see. So the name of the file, let me minimize this. The name of this particular file is slideshow1. All right, so that doesn't really tell us what we're looking at in the picture.
You can actually rank better on Google by naming these pictures.
Absolutely. It's an opportunity to put more keywords in. So see how the size difference between this and the one that we had up earlier? And if I just put them side by side here, you can see that just the physical size of the picture is much smaller on the left, and this will load faster as a result. And the way we know that,
just to point out, it's going to be the same size on your website.
Right. So I mean, you don't need a picture this giant on your website. So that's why you optimize the pictures first. So I hope that makes sense. Here, we can, if I hover over the image, you can see it's 38.9 kilobytes as opposed to the almost 400. And actually, yeah, here's the actual size. So that's what that one is, and you can see it's talking about this in several places, 3%, 14, 3. So this is a big deal because it says there's a 96% reduction that could be made with this one image, and that might bump you up a few more points and maybe over 60 or 70% just because of this one thing. So that's one thing that could be improved. Let me see if we have any other questions coming through. Shelly gave us a smiley face. I'm gonna put that up. Thank you, Shelly, for the smiley face. All right. Robin, what else should we point out? Or anything else that you wanted to go into? I have another idea of something else we should talk about. Can we go into that?
Sure.
All right.
Well, we could, the other thing we could do is, just to go back a little bit, so you can test on mobile friendly, you can test on Page Speed Insights, but the other thing you can do is test on Webmaster Tools, and you would have to make a Google account for this. But what Webmaster Tools is just another place you can go to get your website tested. And Google will tell you specifically, they'll email you and tell you specifically what is wrong with your website periodically. So I usually like to go in and check it at least once a month so I can make those fixes.
All right, and I typed in google.com/webmasters, and then you can do tools, I think it's, because I visit this all the time. But, if we take a look at, let's say, Knukin. See, we just did a new website, so I wonder if it's pulling in
So
the
it'll give you
information.
messages over there on the left side, and it will tell you what to do.
So this is, it says fix mobile usability issues found on awesomedynamic.com, which we just fixed last Friday because we launched our new responsive website that is mobile friendly, and then need to verify the owner. So apparently these two things need to be done as of 3/9. So we're working on that for ourselves, but you can get all sorts of information about what they're crawling, any crawl errors that they might have. There's tons of information that Google gives you at no charge through Webmaster Tools. And if you wanted to learn
it's all
about,
very transparent. So they're really not trying to hide anything. They're trying to help you and make all of the websites better. So.
And I just Googled Webmaster Tools, and you can see that these first two results, in fact, this one right here, Webmaster Tools -Google, will get you to that page that I was just at. So I have a whole bunch of websites under my account, but I wanted to take note that Shelly has asked a question. Is the Web Resizer a free program? I'm going to select that question and post that. Yes, Web Resizer is a free program. So webresizer.com. And this is free to use, although it's not what we use. Typically, we use Photoshop. So I'm going to pop that open here. Photoshop is not a free program, but it makes it very easy to size things. So if I took that original picture that you had, Shelly, I'd bring it in here. And then to set up a optimized version of this picture, what's really neat with Photoshop, I can go to File, Save for Web and Devices. It brings up, this is, it shows you if we change the quality, what it would look like. So you can see this one's a certain level here in terms of file size. I can reduce this to, let's say, 500 pixels wide. It'll show me what the quality levels would be like. I'm going to make this a JPEG.
And you can adjust the quality there, the high.
Yeah, so this is more of the technical program we use, but you can see that the original, when I loaded it in here, was quite large. And if I just change this to JPEG and I change this to 500 pixels wide, we can see it's reduced. And you can see down here, it tells you right away, 142 kilobytes. I can make this medium resolution, and you can't visually see it's any different. As a
general rule of thumb, you don't want your pictures to be over 100 kilobytes.
Right. You can go low. So we try and reduce this as much as possible. But Shelly, going back to your question, yes, Web Resizer is free. It's not as fast as using the other program, but if you're just using it to do a photo here and there, it's perfect. So when you go to webresizer.com, just click on Resize Photos. You just choose the file, find the one that you want, and hit upload. It brings it right into their website here. And then you can adjust your settings here. So if I wanted the size to be 600 wide, I'd apply the changes, and you can see it applies. Or I can change the image quality to 50 and hit apply, and it continues to tell me what the size of the end result would be. So I can play with these different things. You can there's an option to crop using this program. So there's all sorts of things you can do free with this webresizer.com. Apply the changes. You see I'm down to 36 kilobytes, but obviously you want this to look good on your site too. So I hope that answers your question. I do have another question coming in from Joe, so let's hit done on this one. And then Joe says, do you have any recommendations for optimizing a site built in WordPress, specific widgets, tools, or processes? I love this type of question, Joe, so I'll go ahead and answer it. So optimizing a site built in WordPress, if you're going to do this yourself, Joe, what you want to do is find a mobile responsive theme or template that you can upload that already has this built in. So one great resource for this, you could go to like monstertemplates.com. So if you're a fairly technical guy, you go to monstertemplates.com and go to WordPress themes, and you click responsive, and everything I'm looking at now is a mobile responsive theme that I could buy for 75 bucks. And if you're a fairly technical guy, you can figure out how to customize the colors and images to match your branding. If you already have an existing website, which you do, that isn't responsive, trying to convert it to be responsive is not exactly intuitive. So there are some plugins that allow you to do this. So we'll go to plugins. WordPress. We'll just go there. And if I've checked out many of them, I can tell you. Let's see, the plugins area. And if I type in responsive, they basically have plugins that are responsive for the thing that they do. There are some, I think there's one called WP Touch that one of my clients uses, WP Touch, which allows you to create a second theme that your website will produce based on the fact that they are using a smaller device, but it isn't true responsive. Let's see. My client, the Shanty in Wadsworth, uses this, but it isn't true responsive. So in order to convert, so I guess, Joe, the specific recommendations for optimizing a site already built in WordPress, specific widgets, tools, and processes. I guess I'd need to know more. Are you looking to use what you already have and convert it to responsive, or are you willing to go through the process of finding another theme and getting that customized where it's already built responsive? So I guess I'd need to know that. But if
I
you're
just
looking,
want to say also that
sure.
there's no magic widget or magic application that will optimize your website. It's really, you have to do the work.
Right. I mean, if you look at from a programming perspective, you know, you'd really need to create what are called media queries using CSS. So this way, for every single place where your site might need to change, you'd need to say, well, I want to move the logo up here. I want to take all these menu items and have them disappear and turn into a 3 little line thing. So you could say, in the viewports are essentially, yeah, this is desktop size. Then you have smaller laptop size. Then you get down here to like tablet size. Then you get to phone size. And then, of course, there's the ability for the tablets and phones to be vertically spaced like this, or more horizontal or portrait style. So there's all sorts of CSS media queries that are written to accommodate for all these things. So if you get a template that's already set up to do these things, then you don't have to go through all this programming. But if you wanted to make your existing site responsive, you'd need to find somebody who's able to write all those media queries to make that happen. One resource. Oh, go ahead, Robin, and then I'll give Joe a resource.
If you had to choose the most the most important way to optimize your site quickly, what would you say?
What would I say?
Yeah.
To optimize it to be responsive?
No, because his question was not about responsive. It was about just optimizing in general.
Oh, optimizing. I mean,
I'm thinking it's metadata is the most effective thing.
Okay, so you took his question a little bit differently than I did. So, well, let me finish the one thought I had. So if you go to elance.com, so if you're looking to hire a programmer, you can go to elance.com and you can actually post a job and you can get people from all over the world to help you with this. So that's one resource you could use as well. You just got to be careful, make sure you hire somebody who has lots of 5-star ratings and has a lot of experience. But let's talk about the optimization angle. And you know what? Joe, I'm thinking about my employee, Jose, across the street here. Sorry. I'm going to hit done on that question. I'm going to put Joe's other question here. Correct. Our company would like to retain our current site and appearance. Our developer had suggested the same information. Thanks. But I want to get into Robin's question, optimizing itself. Yes, there's tons of great plugins to help with optimization. The one that we're using for the metadata is All-in-One SEO Pack. And Robin, did you want to talk about that a little bit?
Sure. I would say All-in-One SEO Pack, and Paul, you can pull that up on the screen. Probably for like, let's say Libertyville Massage.
Sure, I'll do that in just a second.
Sure.
There's one.
So what is metadata? Whenever you Google something, you can see there's 10 results on the page, and there's a title, then there's a description, and then there's the URL. So you can actually tell Google what to put on your result when it pops up, which makes it so that you can get a lot of conversions. If people, even if you're the 3rd or 4th result down, you could actually get more clicks based on how you write this metadata. And metadata is just a fancy word for describing your little snippet on Google. So the first thing's the title. And you want to make sure that in each one of these pieces of metadata, you have your specific keyword for the page. So how do you know what's your keyword for the page? Well, it's all based on, what your keyword research, what your customers search for when they go on Google, how much competition there is for that keyword. So I would start with your keyword research first. And you can just Google lots of different ways to do keyword research online. But for example, for this page, so let's show them the front end of this page, and then I'll show the back end as well. So if we just went to Libertyville Massage, you can see that all of her services are spread out across different pages. You can see they're not all on the same page. And each page has, 300 to 600 words at a minimum. And then there's videos, there's, a call to action button there, the book an appointment, and there's a photo. So it's and there's bullet points. So it's a very interactive page. So I would say even though the keyword for the entire website would probably be something like massage therapy, for this specific page, the keyword would be pretty obviously Swedish massage. So when you go back to the other, to the metadata, so this is on the back end, and again, you can use plugins such as All-in-One SEO Pack or Yoast, Y-O-A-S-T, and you scroll down, and this is where the metadata is. So it's just the title, description, and keywords. And so you can see that right above there is a preview. So that's what's going to show up on Google. See that where it's the blue Swedish massage, and then this description there, and then your URL. So you have a ton of power to completely rewrite these. And, because when you search something on Google, you're reading the title, you're reading the description, you want to make it somewhat of a commercial. So what we're in the process of right now is changing these title tags to more commercially. So you can see it says Swedish massage, the phone number, and the brand name, which is good. It's still a good title tag, but what would make it even better is if we made it more into a commercial that you want to click on. So for example, try Swedish massage today and get a discount for bringing a friend, something like that. It does cut you off at about 70 characters. You can see ours is 87.
I found how Google is producing it here.
See that ... right there? Yep. So you can go over those characters. If it's way too long, though, let's say you have 200 characters, Google will actually rewrite it for you. So you'll lose that title tag. So what I would do is go through all of your pages, especially your home page and your service pages, and go ahead and fix all of your title tags to make them enticing to click on in Google.
So I'm going to take a look at one of Joe's pages here. So let's see. Let me go to the engineering. Okay, so I see you're still working on your website here. So as I try and visit some of the practice areas, they're linked to pound signs, meaning they're dead links. But let's see what you got for your homepage here. And if we go into view the source, we can actually take a look at this. So I'm going to find title. And
to view the source, you just right-clicked, right?
Yes, I just right-clicked and went to view source. This is Google Chrome, so it might work differently in other browsers. And you're using a different method of doing title tags. If you use the All-in-One SEO Pack, it's gonna produce a little bit differently. But essentially, this is what your site is currently setting your title tag for your homepage. And Robin, what would you say about that title tag?
I would probably say that would be keyword stuffing, and you might get penalized on that. It is good to have your services in there, but you want to make it more natural, written for humans. So you can see when you have the bars across there where you have recruiting, executive, and you can make it a little bit bigger, Paul.
Sure. No, let's get we'll pass out magnifying glasses.
So yeah, I mean, you definitely have the brand name in there, which Google looks for. But you don't necessarily have to have the brand name if you don't want to, because it will be in the URL right underneath your description. So we have the brand name here, and what I would say is make a smaller commercial style. So it would be like, it's sort of like a slogan. It could be like your solution for recruiting, executive management, staffing. So it would be more natural. You could do it with commas, and you could say, some sort of offer you're having, or what is your differentiator? Because if you think about the top 10 results on Google, everyone is going to have recruiting, executive management, staffing. So you want to differentiate yourself. Let's go ahead and go to Google and just see the results if we just put in, let's say, recruiting.
Sure. Let's do that here. So just go to Google. Recruiting in Libertyville, right? And he would want to come up for that.
All right, I'd probably say like job recruiting or something, or whatever your keyword is. Okay,
Ronstadt,
so
I used to work for Ronstadt.
Yeah.
And here's another one of our clients, Armada Resources.
So if you scroll down, and you can see too, I just want to mention the reviews real quick. If you have 5 reviews, you'll get actual stars that show up underneath your name.
I'll find an example and pull that up in a second here. We'll go ahead and talk about this for a sec.
Yeah, so if you scroll down a little bit, you can see that a lot of these are the same. They'll have recruiting jobs, employment in Libertyville, jobs in Libertyville, staffing companies, recruiting coordinator jobs. None of these really stand out to me. If we keep scrolling down, maybe we'll find a good one.
Top jobs.
Yeah, top jobs and leading employment staffing services. So that one's a little bit more, it stands out against all those other ones that just list keywords. So you can see where the title tag becomes very, very important, because you want to stand out against these top 10 people. And a lot of these are third-party results like Indeed.com or Glassdoor. Those are all citations. But if these were all company, like let's try, like, I always like the example of like pizza companies.
Sure. We'll actually have a good one because Trinell Financial Group is doing a really good job on their reviews.
So they have 5 stars right there, and you can see they stand out on the local results against everyone just based on those Google reviews.
Yeah, so that was something. Now they have Trinell Financial Group, helping you enjoy a better life. Now that's kind of their tagline.
That's great. Yeah, because doesn't that stand out against all these other people that just say financial planner, investment planner? Like, it's very boring, it's keyword stuffed, and you really don't, your goal when you're financial planning is you want to enjoy a better life. Your goal is not just to do the financial planning to do it. So this is something I would definitely click on. So you can see the difference it makes on Google. And you can do this today for your website.
Right. Taking a look at this here, here's his meta description for his homepage. Cutting Edge Connect is a recruiting firm supplying mid to executive level candidates to companies through cutting edge candidate sourcing strategies.
The only criticism I would have for the Trinell Financial Group is that they don't have the keyword in there.
Right. We're trying to find, I have too many tabs open. All right, we have about 7 minutes left. If anybody has a question, please post that to the questions area so we can answer that question before we wrap it up here.
Yep, and then just really quickly on the rest of, so we spent a lot of time on the title for metadata. The other 2 areas are description and keywords. So if we could just click back to
his description here, or you want me to show the
probably in the Libertyville one. Yeah.
Okay, hold on. I closed that tab.
Oh, that's okay.
Well, while you're doing that, take a look at his description here.
All right. Cutting Edge Connect is a recruiting firm supplying mid to executive level candidates to companies through Cutting Edge. Okay, so this looks like it is probably going to be, I'm guessing that you just copied and pasted on all of the pages on your website. It looks like that would be great. This would be a great description for the homepage, but you want to have a different description for each page and specifically to that keyword. So if this is all about recruiting, you want to do just a sentence about recruiting that describes the rest of the page. The other thing is you don't want to copy and paste it from anywhere on that page. So it has to be a completely new sentence describing the page, and it can't be any of the content within the page. Then the keyword has to be about, I would recommend usually 140 to 180 characters. And if it's any shorter or longer than that, Google will usually replace it. Or it'll get cut off.
The duplicate content factor here, we could see that the this particular description is being used on 8 different websites.
Yeah,
So
exactly.
it is something that is out there and in other places. So if you're using this as a description that you're putting on other websites, you should have something different on your website.
Yeah, it's probably dragging you down on Google if you
Yeah.
have duplicate content. And you can actually check your duplicate content with Siteliner.com. And just one more important thing on the description on the all-in-one SEO pack. So you have the title, the description, and the keywords. In the keyword box right there, you only want to put one keyword, maybe 2. If you have more than 2, Google is going to it's going to push your ranking way down. You want to make sure that this page is, Google knows that the keyword on this page is Swedish massage and nothing else.
Right. It's very focused. Taking a look at SiteLiner, let's put since Shelly's still with us, we'll put both through, and then we got to wrap it up here because we only got 4 minutes left. And then I got another phone call after this, but we'll take this URL and we'll throw it into SiteLiner and see what they have to say.
And you can actually open up a new tab too, because this might take a minute.
Okay, and then we'll do answered questions. Let me grab your URL, Shelly, Snarf Foods. I'm gonna decided to. It's like these 2 tabs are linked to each other. Here we go.
You just have to go to siteliner.com again.
Okay. Oh, I see. I duplicated a tab.
Okay, so that one runs. The first one should be near done. Okay, so you can see on the left it says your duplicate content. It also will tell you if you have broken links, how many pages on your site. So if you click on that duplicate content, it will tell you exactly where the page is and where the duplicate content is. So the goal is to have all original content on every page of your site. If there's, and you want to have definitely under like 15%. So you're doing pretty well on the duplicate content, but you want that at 0%. Duplicate content is literally just only text. It's any content and pictures. So any text or pictures or videos that are the same on one page of your site, and then you'll see the same exact thing on another page.
Let's take a look at Snarf Foods. We have 20%.
Okay, so it tells you right there where you need to change your duplicate content, and this is within your site, I think, because you can also have duplicate content with other sites on the internet. So if you have ever and you want to protect your content too. So if you write a great article, someone can copy and paste that and take it as their own. So what you want to do is install authorship on your site, and then no one can take your content.
So I'm just going to pull up her site here to see if we can find out. So there might be like this right here. So see how this is in the footer on every page. As I go from one page to the next, Google's seeing that as duplicate content as I go from page to page. So you might be asking yourself, well, can't I put anything that's consistent on every page? Well, yes. I mean, one strategy to circumvent this is to take this and make it into an image so Google can't read it, and then you can have the same message on each page, but then it's not considered duplicate.
You have testimonials spelled wrong on there.
Testimonials? I think that's by design.
No, but the M-O-I, it should be M-O-N-I.
All right. You got that, Shelly? Get that fixed up here. Oh, Joe has one question. We got 1 minute left, so I'm going to put that up here. He says, great tool. Looks like duplicates are pertaining to our new blog and its previews. So, but yeah, we're gonna have another webinar next week. Same bat time, same bat place. Sorry for the delay in starting. There was a little technical issue on our end. But next week we're specifically going to get into Amazon and selling on Amazon, which I know Shelly was interested in. But every other Thursday will revolve around search engine optimization and things that you can do to improve your website online. Robin, do you have anything you'd like to close with at all?
No, just content is king. So
that's right. Just write really good content, and you should be in a good place. There's a lot of technical things to do. Do out there. But one great valuable thing, just make sure you do really high quality content that people want to read, and you'll always do good with SEO. And that's
And
one
that
of the
we're
core things.
developing we're developing a program to do this on your own.
Yes, that's the awesome Dynamic Academy. So that'll be released in fall. All right. Then thank you for joining us, and we look forward to seeing you next time. Wave bye, Robin.
Bye.